This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
How lucky are we to have the STOP team back to talk to us again about our tamariki and sexualised behaviour. Last time we talked about what would be or could be perceived as okay, and this time we're going to talk about what isn't okay, and also how do we support our kids as parents in that. Thanks for joining us for Being Real Parents with me, Anna, and my colleague and buddy,
Kate. We work in the parenting space.
And it's here where we'll talk about our worlds as parents, the good, the not so good, and the hilarious, and mix this with what we know about behaviour and psychology. So lovely to have you back with me. Thank you so much. I begged you, didn't I?
It's great to be here. Great to be here with you.
Well, yeah, so that was the thing, wasn't it? Is that last time we talked about, being careful that we don't impose our adult kind of ideas across children's behaviour and kind of play. And so, but I realised, or it was realised, that one of the big questions that we get is around, well, what isn't okay? Mm. And because I'm so strength-based, I didn't go into that with you at all. But I thought that was really important, yeah. So will we go... I think we start with a quick introduction in case nobody heard the last session. And then, we take from there.
Yeah, ka pai. I'll go first?
Yeah.
Kia ora tātou, ko aroha tēnei, nō kai kaura hau, kei o tautahi tōku kai ngā inoa nei. My name's Aroha, work with Stop Services. Obviously we had a kōrero the other week, just getting some fundamentals of how you might want to, I suppose, or the things you might want to consider when you respond to your children's sexualised play and behaviour, because it is something that everybody does. And today we're going to just delve a little bit further.
Kia ora, Anna. Thanks for having us back. Ko Lynn, tuka ingoa, originally from Auckland and have been in Christchurch for some time and have worked at the concerning harmful sexual behaviour space. Love working with parents and caregivers because as we kind of touched on last week, it's all good when things go well.
Yeah.
But really important for adults and parents to have a bit of a plan or be a wee bit prepared when play kind of crosses the line becomes not okay or not safe or over and beyond what we want kids to be doing. So great to be with you today.
I always love talking to you both because you kind of allow this kind of kōrero that's, sometimes we don't always feel comfortable with. And when I'm with you and when I hear you, it just reinforces, that we do need to be having these conversations and thinking about these sorts of things and that it's okay that as adults we do that, but also, it's part of our job in terms of parenting and supporting our kids.
Absolutely.
Hey? Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And if parents and caregivers and adults can do that in a way that feels as natural and as confident and as simple as, helping kids to cross the road safely and put their seatbelts on, then I think that would be really helpful. I think it would help minimise play, It's a bit like play fighting. I'm not sure if we used that metaphor last week or not, but it's a great one because, parents and caregivers and grandparents, they know their kids, and one size does not fit all. I think we have to kind of consider that families do things differently. They talk differently, privacy, showering, toileting, camping, skinny dipping, whatever it might be. Families do it different, and some families talk about this really openly, and some families find talking about anything to do with bodies and safe touch or not safe touch really tricky. So I guess we are advocating to help equip adults to have these conversations with the kids because it really does influence and make a big difference.
Yeah. Well, you're totally advocating. There's no doubt about that.
And sorry, I was talking about play fighting. I didn't finish that. So
sorry.
I was going to say, go back to that.
So thank you, Aroha. You know, play fighting's, it's all good when it's good.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to play the game.
Yeah.
Everyone's having fun.
Yeah, it's mutual. There's usually some type of adult supervision.
That's right. No one's pinching, punching, kicking, grabbing, pulling, biting.
Yeah. Everybody's being quite respectful of other people's words. Yeah.
Yeah.
Personal space. But then it can quickly cross over the line.
Yeah, just take one jab, One jab. And then it's all on.
And that's interesting too, because it's often emotionally driven. It's like something hurt, and so I'm going to... Is that also good in terms of this analogy? I don't know.
I think that sometimes, kids can, if they get dysregulated for any way, if you push their buttons, they get angry, then that comes out in all sorts of ways, doesn't it? Gestures, the fingers, down trowel,
words,
brown eye, punching the wall, running outside. I mean, I think it all can be considered. Well, when it turns to sexual touch or something that's not okay, it's just another dysregulated response that's trying to make a bit of a point. And the other part is, kids often are just trying to connect in ways, and sometimes they get that wrong.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
I was just thinking about the kiss and catch thing, 1 minute everybody's playing and they're really enjoying it and it's all funny, but then as soon as somebody decides they don't want to play, but the rest of the group won't honour that, that's when we're like, oh, that's not okay, actually. They've said, no, I don't want to participate, but you're still forcing them to play.
Yeah.
And that's where you get worried. That's when you're like, actually, you're not listening to their words. They no longer give you permission or consent. And, that's when the boundary's crossed, and that's when parents should, intervene or be more concerned, actually.
That's also a really good way, a really good kind of it's a good modelling in terms of our parenting. Like on, the words that you used, you need to honour what she's asking for in this or he's asking for in this, and and is everyone listening, to these people, to this person that's saying something different to what you want, that's a really good way to kind of introduce that, that we have autonomy and we get to say what's okay and what's not.
Because I think for a really long time we've been trying to equip our tamariki with reo. Like it's been a big focus. But who's hearing the kōrero? Who's actually listening? So I see that a lot in classrooms. I was a classroom teacher. Just a lot of children saying, stop it, I don't like it. But nobody's responding. They're still doing what they want to do because they're engaged in that behaviour. And it's like, well, actually, that I feel like there's been so much focus on reo and kōrero that actually now we need to honour the listening part. Are you hearing them? Are you listening to them? And then is there an action, a respectful action?
And parents and caregivers can take that on, can't they?
Totally.
If the cousins are over for Christmas, on the camping trip, if you're hearing things, that's the time to intervene, to say, hey, is everyone having fun in this game? Or, I heard Jack, say something disrespectful and talk about someone else's body in a really not okay way, and that's not how we talk in our family, so you need to stop, just leaning in again to put those boundaries in place.
Making it part of your kind of whānau rules or
your
practicing. And practicing it as well. Even just kind of fun ways. You say stop, I'll back off. I don't know.
And if you don't, then you might get an uppercut.
And the reason for it is coming back to that, all those beautiful values of respecting our own bodies, respecting other people's bodies, being kind, like our personal space is important. And, all of those characteristics that sometimes we talk about in our mahi when kids and young people are getting it wrong is that they've crossed the line, and often that's when sexual touch or any kind of touch becomes not mutual. When there's an age difference, so you've got an older child who's initiating some play-in games with a younger child, a little bit more concerning.
Yeah.
Like things, like when there's holding down or forcing or you pull your pants down and show your private parts or show your bum. Yeah. Or else you're not coming to my birthday party or
that's
I'm going to tell on you. So the bribes, the tricks.
Yeah.
These are some of the things that we would encourage parents to just kind of look out for and to be able to name that quite quickly to kind of de-escalate the situation.
Yeah. And how do we name that? Give me an example. You'll be.
Like kids playing on the trampoline.
Yeah.
Mum's in the dining room looking out and sees that the kids are pulling their pants down, and it might be just mutual and fun and actually nothing to be concerned about.
Yeah.
But it might just simply be mum calling out, "Oi, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I can see you've got your pants down.
Yeah.
Pull those up. We're not showing bums on the trampoline."
She's so nice. I'd be like, "Pants up."
Yeah.
We play with pants on.
Yeah. And if you can't play with pants on...
A little bit more militant at my buddy.
and then following on with, if you're not going to play safely, you need to come inside. So you put some boundaries in place around where I can see you, or you keep the doors open and...
Yeah. And it's kind of, it's really clear. It's not shaming. It's just kind of like these are the rules. These are the boundaries.
Yeah.
I think it's quite important to prepare for the play.
Yeah.
Personally, we have a tikanga in our whare. All my kids know it. But when we have friends over, which is regularly, we just need to re-establish the tikanga.
Yeah, nice.
So what is this kōrero? We have no tech upstairs. So, make sure you let your friends know that there's no tech upstairs. When you come for kai, we eat at the table.
Yeah.
When we play and we don't want to play all together, we need to respectfully have that kōrero, not that shut the door, leave friends out or whatever, because that makes people feel, pōti. And then once again, one person in the bathroom at the time. Mm-hmm. I think at one stage there were clusters of girls trying to work out how to use tampons, and I'm like, I think we can probably do that by ourselves, guys. Admittedly, it was all mutual. It's all really curious. I wasn't worried, but I'm just like, just one person in the bathroom at a time, mate. If you need some help, holler.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing about doing that and talking about that beforehand gives you permission to then go, hey, remember our rules around this stuff. Yeah.
When we go to the swimming pool, we, once again, have a tikanga about the way that we dress ourselves quickly, quietly, and we only look at our own bodies. I share that with other people's children as well. Only because I have had children that stare intensely at other people's bodies because they're fascinated, but it makes other people feel uncomfortable, and I've also got a child that's like, Mum, why does that body look like that? Like, really loud, and it's so embarrassing, and I'm like, darling, everybody's body looks different, that might make her feel uncomfortable. We're all in this together, so...
That's kind. That's kind. It's an extension of kindness.
And they don't understand any different, though.
No.
She was definitely not trying to be unkind. She was just like, this woman has a very, very different body to you and to me, and she has a very loud voice, and she's very much like myself. So we just need to have rules put in place before we enter those environments.
Yeah.
So we behave in a kind and respectful way, which is who we really are.
Totally.
You're listening to Being Real Parents with Kate and Anna on Plains FM 96.9.
So one of the factors that contributes to unsafe sexualised play is adults not calling staff. They're nodding. Everyone, they're nodding.
Yeah, they're nodding. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Well, and potentially not considering the fact that we are actually wired up to be sexual beings.
Yeah.
So for some reason or another, we talked about the posters last week briefly about how they've been printed for eons without genitalia.
Yes.
So for some reason or other, genitalia and, that really intimate function of reprocreation just kind of gets pushed aside until you're an adult. And then it's an adult thing and you can talk about it. But actually, our bodies are preparing for that, our whole existence,
Yeah.
So there will be all the Lindsay's sexy feelings. I think like about hormones, like your hormones change. Like, you know, as we talked about the 4-year-old lads with their testosterone boosters and things like that, and then, you know, they'll have a bit more time with their hands down their pants, and people get shocked and you know, I don't know why, because it's just a biological response to growth.
Yeah, and inevitable.
Yeah. Yes. It's part of being human.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of the time we forget our obligation to growing healthy children.
Yeah.
We just want to stay within the safe spaces.
Yeah. And to do that, I guess it comes back to those opportunities, you know, that parents, caregivers and grandparents have. You know, last week we talked about don't leave this until the kids are 14, you know.
Please.
Start the conversations early so it's not weird, you know, or awkward.
Yeah. So they don't even want to talk to you when they're 14. You missed the boat.
Yeah. Well, it comes out of nowhere, doesn't it? If you don't have... I mean, everything comes back to your relationship with your child, doesn't it? And this is a part of that. Like, even if it feels uncomfortable, if your relationship with your child is, you know, nurturing and safe... you know, if you open this up, it's going to make for a great kōrero. You know, they'll have, you know, cool questions.
And in those moments, you know, when parents find themselves having to respond and the heart rate's racing and they're having quite a reaction, you know, just encourage parents to take a breather and have a minute, because here's the opportunity for a teaching moment, a learning opportunity.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And, you know, sometimes kids need to be yelled at and, you know, told off and put some very clear boundaries in place. But it's a great opportunity just to, you know, parents are allowed to ask, look, what are you playing? You know, what's happening? To kind of get the gist and the context of what is happening.
Yeah.
A little bit. We talked about that last week, didn't we? Not putting an adult lens on what you think might be happening.
Yeah.
I always remember one of my daughters coming home when she was like 5. She was just started school, and she said, "Mum, I know the S word and I know the C word." And of course I just immediately thought it was my adult C word and S word, and so I managed in this moment to stay calm enough to be able to say, "Really, darling, you know, what is the S word? What is the C word?" And she read stupid. And crap.
Yeah, crap was our C word too.
So, you know, like, it's not always like that.
Yeah.
But just a good reminder for us as parents to look for those moments to have the conversations.
Yeah. And we do have a negative bias in our brain, eh? Like it sends us to spaces that we don't technically need to be, so if we can just...
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, that's right. We do. Yeah, that's right. And if we have been those parents that have, you know, look, we listen to this and go, oh, no, I've overreacted. There is always an opportunity to go back and say,
for sure.
Dude, you know what? You know, I didn't react in the way that I should have on that day, and I just want to let you know, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
That's so honouring to our children, isn't it? To acknowledge when we didn't do it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes, I guess, especially this time of year, you know, swimming, camping, sleepovers, birthdays, Christmas, you know, there's a lot happening. And so another opportunity for all of us to just be reminded of what we might need to put in place, you know, with our extended family as well. A lot of behaviour can happen with cousins because you spend lots of time with your cousins.
Yes.
And it can be really distressing for families, you know, when they find out that perhaps there's been some not okay touching. So even more helpful to stay as rational as possible, for parents to be open, because I think we're very protective of our kids, and we often think our child wouldn't say that or our child wouldn't do that. But I think as parents we need to be open, because children are hearing a lot outside of the family, from school, from older kids. Yeah. And sometimes kids are engaging and initiating in play that we wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
And whilst it's distressing, it's not the end of the world. Yeah. And to work through that together in the best interests of what the kids need. Yeah. To be safe, we're family, there's boundaries, there's rules, there's stuff that's not okay. And so, and if you're really concerned, just, you know, a reminder that there is the likes of the stop services where parents and caregivers can give us a call just to run us run past the scenario with us and get a bit of a second opinion.
I think just a wee plug there too, just to remind our whānau as they head away off on holidays as larger groups that actually they're all our kids.
Yeah.
Like, nice. So we might have a couple that are DNA, that's mine, I birthed that one, yeah, cool. But actually they're all our kids together, just like when I'm teaching in my classroom, I call them my whānau and they're like, when aren't your family? I'm like, you're my learning family.
Yeah.
This is our learning family. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
So, just to be reminded that, healthy, happy children are raised in communities of people. Not just in insular kind of little pockets of society.
Yeah, that's a lovely way to frame that, isn't it? I was thinking too about the kids that we're worried about, like we're listening to this and we're going, oh, actually there is some kind of sneaky stuff going on with my child that I'm a bit worried about. They can ring you. I also want to kind of say don't, you just give me some feedback on this, but there's a part of me that wants to say don't give up on that child, totally. Just don't, they're not bad and awful and horrible, just, but they just don't quite know the right way to behave yet.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because when people go, kids don't lie, I'm like, rubbish. Tell fibs all the bloody time so they don't get in trouble. Like, that's the reality.
We all do.
Yeah.
Does my bum look big in this, No,
officer, I wasn't speeding. So, the goal is to not tell lies, and some lies are very, very harmful. So, we do that in our family, but there are fibs. And for children who potentially think they will be in a lot of trouble,
that's true.
They will avoid that because that's a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
That's part of their brain that's going, shit, you're in trouble, look after yourself, look after your well-being. So therefore they may tell a lie or a fib.
Yeah.
That doesn't make them a bad human. That just means that they were scared at that time.
Yeah.
So that curiosity of whatever they are engaging in needs to be spoken about.
It explains why so many kids who might initiate in some not safe touch, will deny it. And I think if it's not so much what adults say in the moment, but it's also how they say it.
Yeah.
So if there is that connection, if there is that aroha, that love, that kindness, that care, I think that encourages kids, we often talk about if an adult's going to be yelling and getting angry and be upset and distressed, it's not going to help the little person in the situation. So adults do need to take a bit of responsibility to take a minute.
They will always remember how you make them feel.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes the words, the dialogue may even be forgotten over the time, but they will always remember how they felt in that moment. And that could potentially really damage a relationship with that child. So,
and there's always going to be the kids who need a bit more support and a bit more scaffolding, just like the kids who need a bit more help with everything in life. So true, Anna, what you said, like we want to be very mindful that, as Aroha said before, if we're all in this together to have a community that helps kids to be safer and to know what it is to be kind and respect our own bodies and other people's bodies, then some kids just are going to have a lot more reminders about how close they stand to people, where they're allowed to take their clothes off, who's allowed to see their bum, and for adults to be able to go there.
Yeah, and support them in that.
I'm just thinking too about holidays. The tech plans are probably a really good idea too. So making some plans for technology. We're talking about going outside and getting our bathers on and doing all the things and potentially seeing naked bodies, which are just bodies, and that's fine. But children also spend a lot more time on tech, I would say, in this day and age. So, do you have something that's helping block, tricky words? Our children have so much freedom on the internet. A lot of our whānau are not quite aware of what's coming across the screen. So what are we doing proactively to make sure that, one, our children are a little bit safer, and two, when they do see something that is upsetting or they're uncomfortable with, what are they going to do?
And Digital Waitaha is a great website for that. There's another one too, isn't there?
NetSafe's quite helpful too. Helpful too. Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
That's a great topic for the next podcast.
Aye.
That's another 3 podcasts.
We will do it. We will do it. I just want to thank you both again for coming in. This is so important, and it's a great reminder at this time of year when we're spending more time around other kids and extending our whānau networks that we can put some kind of rules around that before it happens, so starting now and then moving into continuing with that kind of tikanga and kawa as all of those friends and whānau arrive as well. We will definitely have you back for that talk about the tech world. And if you've got any questions or want to look these guys up, I would totally recommend all that they do, www.stop.org.nz.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us today.
We hope you've learned that while parenting is challenging sometimes, that's totally normal. It's been fun having you with us. Keep being amazing. Bye!